So I also wanted to talk about one other difference between the way implication works in mathematical logic and the way it works in conversation. So the implication, phi implies psi, says exactly this. If you washed your hands, then you did not get infected. Now, when someone says this to you in conversation, if someone says this to you in a conversation, you would probably infer from this that washing your hands somehow helps to cause you to not get infected, right? There's some causal connection between phi and psi in conversation. In mathematics, there's no such causal connection. So in mathematics, when you say phi implies psi and you assert that and you find that it's true, there doesn't have to be any sense in which phi caused psi to be true. This is simply true in any situation where you either didn't wash your hands, in which case it's vacuously true, or you washed your hands and you ended up not getting infected. Whether the two facts are related, whether one caused the other, doesn't matter as far as mathematical logic is concerned. So there's just no causal element to implication in mathematical logic. So just to demonstrate, assume that you know these three independent facts about these three independent people who perhaps have never met. So assume you know that Alice is an accountant, Bob has brown hair, and Charles loves chocolate. So this is part of your quiz. Then what would you say about this? Bob has brown hair. Implies Charles loves chocolate. So if you say something like this, in other words, if Bob has brown hair, then Charles loves chocolate, is that true or false? So, in fact, Bob has brown hair, and in fact, Charles does love chocolate. So, it's true. The implication is true, because the hypothesis is true, and the conclusion is true. So the implication is true. And you could just look straight at the table. True, true leads to a true implication. But would you say that, I mean, if someone went up to you and actually said this sentence, hey, if Bob has brown hair, then Charles loves chocolate, you would probably be a little bit weirded out by them. It's a weird sentence to say, because it's not like Bob's hair color is causing Charles's food choices or food preferences, right? It's not a causal connection. It's just, this is true and that's true, therefore the implication is true. So the mathematical implication just does not say anything about causality. I hope that's clear now. I want to highlight another difference between mathematical implication versus conversational implication. So here's a typical conversational situation, hopefully not that typical, of being mugged. This guy says, if you don't hand over the money, I'll shoot. So they are making an implication assertion, right? So let's say phi is, you don't hand over the money. And psi is, I will shoot. And then what the mugger is basically saying is, hey, phi implies psi. And in response to that, they want you to hand over the money. Now, if this mugger were a mathematician, then you could hand over your money, and they could still shoot you anyway, and they would not be a liar. Do you see why? So you could hand over your money, therefore making phi false, then they could shoot you anyway, or not shoot you. It doesn't matter. If you hand over the money, you have made the hypothesis of the implication false, and therefore you will make the implication vacuously true. So if that sounds a little bit ridiculous to you, think about it this way. Think about it as though the mugger is just being very literal. He says, if you don't hand over the money, I'll shoot. Then he shoots you after you hand over the money, and then he says, I didn't say I wouldn't also shoot if you do hand over the money. I just said if you don't, then I'll shoot. I might shoot in either case. So that makes no sense conversationally. No one would say an implication and mean the... everyone would interpret this threat correctly. Basically, the correct way to interpret this threat in conversation is actually phi if and only if psi, right? But the way it's stated with just an if-then, if you interpret it literally, then this is a situation you end up in. You could shoot either way and not be a liar.